Hello and welcome to Mystic Visions. This is a monthly tarot reading for Aquarius for the month of June. So thank you for joining, and we're going to go ahead and get to your reading. Aquarius. Let's see what's going on for Aquarius. All right, so Aquarius, you have this Nine of Coins. And Nine of Coins represents that there's a time, well, you've been struggling for some material project or wealth or something like that, and you've kind of achieved it. You've got to a point where it's time now for you to um, sort of enjoy the fruits of your labor. And there is a person, she's flying over this field where she's worked very hard on in this card, and she is very much enjoying surveying all of her accomplishments and things like that. So it's a little bit of a reflection on all the good that you've already done, and recognizing that even if you don't necessarily feel like you've achieved it all, you have to take time to look and see what you have done. So you have to be aware of the reason for what you're doing, instead of just being all the time looking for the next win or the next project for you to tackle. There has to be a moment, and this gets, this is the nine of coins, so it's just really the 10 and then the court cards after that. So this is far along in the journey, but you've got to eventually recognize that the purpose of achieving material wealth is to do something, right? There's something in your mind that you've been working toward, and it's important for you to occasionally take some time to see what's going on, and to see what you're doing with all that wealth, because otherwise you might just be kind of wasting your life away, right? What's crossing you is this Ace of Coins. So the Ace of Coins represents a new opportunity. This is some um, new chance for financial success or wealth or something like that. So crossing you or influencing you, it seems as though you might be at a little bit of a crossroads here, because on the one hand you have all of this success and everything, and on the other hand here's this new opportunity and um, a new project or something comes along for you to sink your teeth into. So the question that you have to ask is, which of these projects is really the one that fulfills you? I think that there is an overabundance of success already here, and you are being asked to to pay attention to that. So what really matters in this case is, are you seeking more success because you just never feel like it's enough, or is this a new opportunity that's actually something you want to be doing instead of what you have been doing, which is kind of working your way or working through life without a real aim or goal? So it behooves you to take a look at the situation and think, what have I already done? What have I already accomplished? And what of these things really matters to me? Instead of just looking at, how can I be the most successful? Think about what really matters. Okay, so what we have from what you're moving away from is this Ace of Swords. So you're kind of, you may have been a little bit unreceptive to new ideas, or um, kind of, maybe a little stubborn, but not stubborn in such a way that you are kind of like fighting with people, or unreasonable with people in terms of what you're going to do or the plans you're going to make. It's not so much that kind of stubborn. It's more of stubbornly moving toward a particular goal, or essentially feeling like the way that you've done it has worked out really well, so why would you do anything different? That stubborn in that kind of way, into feeling like your way has been successful. And you're moving away from that a little bit, and I think that's kind of what has manifested this situation of a new opportunity. Is now you're starting to realize, hey, there's this new thing, and it has some sort of potential, or it has some ability to pay off, or be worthwhile. So that kind of that new energy is invited by laying down your way of knowing that things should be done, and now some new option presents itself. Okay, so what you're moving toward is this hangman in the reverse. This means that you don't really want to be in a situation where you're not active. So kind of like a retirement type of energy is not that appealing to you. Or if you do want to retire from your job, it's so that you can do other things that you want to do, right? You're you're wanting to be an active person. You're wanting to do some things and not just sit back and relax. So the question is, what exactly are you moving toward? Are you moving toward something that um, further prolongs your ability to really do the things that you want to do? I mean, if you're like me, I'm a person who I work really hard, but the only reason I really work hard is so that I can fast forward a little bit to the point where I don't have to work so hard, and and that can be to a fault sometimes, because sometimes I'm not experiencing so much of the present moment, particularly when I'm in that attitude or that mindset of I need to get all this done as quickly as possible so I can get to the other side. That has a way of getting you into this point where you kind of stop, or you forget to stop and smell the roses. And there are definitely some roses here for you to stop and smell. So um, that's what this Ace of Coins is essentially asking you to do, is to figure out, you know, am I being a little bit too stubborn about the way I'm living my life? And is there something else that I really want to do? What we have for your foundation, or kind of what brings this whole thing about, the the subconscious bubbling up, or basically, what is the universe trying to teach you? You have this Seven of Wands in the reverse, and so in the upright, you see the little guy here standing above everybody else, and he's having to kind of rise above and become leader or something like that, right? But now you got this other way, this resistance. So um, I think what this means is that you're avoiding taking the reins of your life. It's comfortable to have other people define what you should be doing, and setting your goals and boundaries and things like that. It's very comfortable to live your life that way. But it's now time for you to kind of take a little bit more personal responsibility for the direction that you take and the choices that you make. And it's going to kind of usher in the next phase of your life. And so you've got to become that leader, not avoid being the leader, but and take the reins and become the person who moves on to bigger and better things. If you watch my channel very much, you'll know I quote Parks and Rec a lot because I love it. It's like my favorite show. But there is a part in the series, spoiler alert, where Leslie Knope has this opportunity to move to like a director of the National Park Service and all that, and it's a really great opportunity. But at the same time, she finds that a lot of the things that she loved about working for the Parks Department was, the smaller things, cleaning up the rivers and getting your hands dirty, right? So some of that was holding her back, I think, from taking a bigger position, swimming in a bigger pond. But she had to take a step back and realize that, while she enjoyed doing that work, having the opportunity to oversee all of it and to really get things done, to really do some change, that's what really meant something to her. And it wasn't just the selfish or the more selfish part of enjoying the thing that you're actually doing. It was she wants to see some bigger results, and that's okay. You know, a lot of people might try to shame you for that kind of mentality, and there's really nothing to shame. It's, you know, you have to, there is definitely a virtue in enjoying the thing, the situation that you're in, even if it's not really where you want to be. But you shouldn't let that enjoyment then prevent you from moving on to bigger and better things. You know, so it's hard to find the balance sometimes between enjoying what you're doing and realizing that there is something bigger and better out there. Because the very, when you say that, when you say bigger and better, it has a way of kind of putting down the situation that you're currently in. And people don't want to do that. They want to feel grateful. And so there's a balance there. But you shouldn't feel like you're a bad person because you are wanting to move to something that you deserve, that you've worked hard for, and that kind of thing. And I kind of see that as the situation that you're in right now. It's that there is, and remember, this card is the subconscious, so this may not have been something that's very apparent to you, but for some reason, there's been hesitation to moving on to something that really would serve you better in the long run, and something you deserve, something greater. And that hesitation stems from this sort of guilt that has somewhere along the line you've picked up, and it's affected your mindset, because you kind of feel like you have what you deserve, or maybe you don't even feel like you deserve what you have. You know, you have a negative view of yourself, and you know, society does that. In this society, if you're not working really hard, you're a negative. So, and it's a little weird because you'd think if you're not doing anything, you're kind of a neutral, but they don't look at it that way. It's a negative if you're doing nothing, if you're neutral. And you're only really a positive if you're working really hard and getting a lot of things accomplished, which is just awful. But hey, that's the world we live in. So, what you have in your crowning thoughts or what's on your conscious mind is this Nine of Wands in the reverse. And a big part of this is having some prior experiences that didn't work out very well. So you've been kind of maybe beat up a little bit, or, you know, it, not necessarily physically, but you made some choices, some decisions that didn't work out very well, and it kind of burns you. And now you have an aversion to certain things or certain ways of being. Um, Perhaps you have an aversion to, you know, doing it yourself instead of incorporating or relying on other people, you know, that type of thing. So that could be what you're going through here. The idea is to recognize that you were a different person when you went through those things. So it's not doomed to work out the same way. The problem is, you know, when we first get going, a lot of us, when we're very young and we're immature, we try to have everything our way. We try to do it and be the boss. But we don't have that life experience to really know how things are going to work out. We might have a lot of book knowledge. We might think we know everything. But when you actually put all that theory to test, a lot of it doesn't pan out. And so you learn as you get older and you go through some hardships, you learn how to do things in a more effective way. And a lot of times, we get to a point where we are matured and we are older and we've figured out something that works, but there are dreams that we left behind, and we left them behind because we were just too immature to really seek after those things at the time. But now, with all this new life experience, it may be worth giving it another go, giving it taking another crack at it. So look and see, what have you kind of left behind, and you know, you may be seeing an opportunity now where it becomes possible to do that again, where it becomes possible to fold back and recognize something that you kind of just let go because you didn't think it was possible at the time. Um, that's what you're being asked to focus on right now. Okay, so advice, you got the wheel in the reverse. And this is a reminder that there is there's a sense of randomness to things that happen, and things happen in cycles. So it could be that essentially, if things haven't worked out in the past, and if things are, scary and things like that because you're moving on to a new phase of life or something like that, you just got to recognize that it's a part of life and that it is all natural. You know, I'm sure I like to imagine that the trees are somewhat afraid in the winter when they lose all of their leaves that that it might not warm back up and they may be stuck in cold and never able to enjoy that sun and bloom and everything again. But obviously the trees out don't really seem to be bothered by it. But if they were humans, they certainly would, right? um, and even when it turns night and the plant no longer has access to that sunlight, it's at that point where the plant stretches out further and grows even more than it was. And so these things, these cycles of having things working the way that you want and having things working the way you don't, they are just as the seasons. Because even though the winter is not a very fun time for the plants, it's necessary in the life cycle of the plant for everything to continue. So don't get stuck in a particular season thinking that it's supposed to be one kind of way. It's there's also a time for you to move on to another season, and a lot of times that means returning to a season that you've been to before. Well, I mean, almost always, right? Because it's a cycle, it's a continuous cycle. So it may be time to invite old past times back into your life and experience them anew. Okay. So what you have for your environment, which is basically, it's not you so much as it is either somebody in your immediate environment or the society around you or in your home or something like that. This is an energy that surrounds you, uh, or is around you, right? You got the Page of Coins in the reverse. So this is not wanting to go off on new journeys. There's somebody around you who's being a little bit more, possibly mature and wise, but at the same time, they're not willing to risk very much. And so you may have to convince this person a little bit that something is worth risking, or you may have to assert your authority in the situation and recognize that some of what you choose to do is not necessarily going to be what everybody else thinks is the right way to go, but you have the right and responsibility really to make some of your own choices and to do things that fulfill your own spirit and not just you know succumb to everybody else's desires. Okay, so what you have for your fears card is the Seven of Coins. So Seven of Coins, you got two figures here who have been working very hard, and they're sitting there watching their plant grow and develop and the beautiful fruits on it, and they put a lot into it, and they're ready for the payoff. They're ready for it to essentially come to being, but they don't want to. They don't want to pick it too soon, or mess up the harvest before it's time or something like that. So there's a feeling of patience that comes with this, and just seeing it through to the end till it's nice and ripe. But on the other hand, there is also a possibility for things becoming overripe or rotting, essentially. So there is a time for you to reap the benefits of your harvest. And it also is worth noting that here underneath the plant in the roots is love And anything that basically has that as the basis for it is almost guaranteed to be successful. So all the worrying about the end product and everything is kind of more superficial, or being afraid of things that are not such a big deal. Whereas if you remember and focus on the fact that this whole thing has this really good intention, love at the heart of it, it's easy for you to kind of forget because the thing has good roots. And so you don't have to be focusing so much on the manifestations or the results of what's going to happen, you know? So that's a big thing for you. Just remember to focus on the important parts of it. And while patience is important and timing is very important, it goes both ways. You don't want to be too conservative with your timing and then end up missing a really great opportunity. Okay, overall message. I love pulling this card, especially in the overall message. This is the Nine of Cups. It's also known as the Wish card. And just what it sounds like, this is the genie giving you your wish. Only he's not being tricky, right? So this is a sign that you have been very diligent and you've done everything that was required and you've done a really good job, and it's time for you to get some happiness. Don't be afraid to take your part of the bargain, which is you do the right thing and it pays off, right? You have done the right thing, and now it's a big opportunity for you to ask, what do I want? What is my wish? And you have a really good shot at achieving that. This is an open door for you. So, really good to have this in the overall message. Good to have it anywhere, right? But really good to have it in the overall message. This is a sign that this situation is really great. It's just about taking that step forward. I can show you the door, but you got to walk through it, Neo. So that's what this is about. Just figure out, what it is that you actually want, and everything's going to be fine. Okay. So, very pleasant reading today for the Aquarius people. And thank you very much for watching. Please leave me some comments. Let me know what you thought. Like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys next month for the next reading. Bye-bye.